Hello brilliant jewelry community, welcome to this new tutorial. Today we need to complete our Art Nouveau pendant. We have a drawing, but the woman was not in this design and we need to readapt the entire composition. Also we need to add the gems, the enamels, the pearl, and complete the entire structure and composition of this 3D jewelry Art Nouveau pendant. We'll prepare the design for 3D printing in Blender 4.4. Let's get started. So first I'm going to take the woman's portrait, and remember that we've built this using meshes and curves. And this means that I can go to Object, Convert to Mesh, and Join. Don't forget to check the face orientation. I can decide the real life size that I want for my jewel. Now it's time to think as a jewelry designer and as a jeweler, because maybe the weight will be a problem. So we'll have to check also in what material we're going to manufacture this design. So I'm going to give it a specific 35 millimeters in height, and don't forget to copy and paste the scale to the other axis. And because I want to convey a specific meaning in this design, I am going to put the butterfly somewhere in the front, because one of the meanings of the butterfly is a new life. I can work with the meaning of the butterfly, and this makes the creative process a lot more interesting and also the result a lot more engaging. So I know this might seem a lot of blah blah blah, a lot of theory, but as many times before, this is important in practice, because this is the process that you need to be doing right now in your own 3D jewelry design. Jewelry design is an art form, and as such, it conveys meaning thanks to the shapes, the symbols, the composition, and also the materials. And this is exactly what we need to do in the first part of this tutorial. Prepare the meshes, decide their sizes and placement to create meaning in the composition of the jewel. Let's get to it. And this is the result from the drawing to the 3D jewel. So for 3D printing and jewelry manufacturing, it's very important to have a look at the back of the jewel. All the elements are hollow and connecting. This is a pendant, so we have a custom chain design. Making this 3D model took hours, but if I'm taking care of the details that much, it's because that's exactly how jewelers and jewelry designers work. Each aspect of the jewel must be perfect. This design is completely made for 3D printing and casting in metal. So when I speak about details, for example for the pearl setting has the proper structure to properly set the pearl. And also as an advice, simply when you buy jewels, professional jewelry designers and jewelers are always going to take care of all the aspects of the jewel. So when you take a look at the back of the jewel, if it doesn't look good, don't buy it. It's a simple yet important sign that the jewel was poorly designed and poorly manufactured. So first recommendation, save a new file right at the beginning to prepare your STL in a new file. You'll have to edit geometry, adapt the model, move things, readapt elements, save a new file, and be happy. So now it's important that we make good use of collections in Blender. By example, my enamels are in a separate collection. Then the chain, the gems, and this small part, the pearl setting, is going to be separate from the rest of the pendant. It will have free movement that I need to 3D print separately. There are some designs like chains that you can fully print together and cast in metal at once to avoid soldering, using supports to separate the links and print the full chain at once. But that's more a rarity than the common case. So now all these elements are one same object that will be 3D printed and casted in one metal. So let's select that, File, Export, STL, Selection Only, Name, and Export STL. Great. Now File, Import, STL. Here we have the information of the size, 650 megabytes, That's a lot for an STL, but with all the details that I have in my pendant, it's no surprise, and it could be even a lot heavier. Anyway, I'm going to import the STL here and make a local view. This is an STL imported in Blender, and yet I have no guarantee that this STL file can be 3D printed, because the description of an STL file can very easily be broken. A very common operation is to add a remesh modifier, set the voxel size depending the amount of details that you want to keep and that your hardware can support, and do a quick check to see that no element is missing, because if you have hollow elements and you make a remesh, these elements are going to disappear because they have no thickness, and the remesh modifier can't make a solid if a vertex, an edge, or a face is missing. And many times you'll have overlapping edges, but overlapping edges make a hollow element. So the remesh modifier will fail on hollow elements because one face has no thickness. But at least you'll know what element to check if it disappears. Now I'm going to add a decimate modifier, and here we can see that I have almost 30 million faces. That's a lot, because I always work with very high resolution models, because resin 3D printing is very precise. The resolution of the printers is way above 12K, so in real life that's microns, and we need to keep all the details we're working with. Otherwise, we would simply not be wasting our time and putting so much dedications in making our 3D models. So here, I'm going to start reducing the ratio. So I'm going to start at 0.1. We need to go step by step. It's now given a face count of 5 millions. Don't touch anything, just go through File, Export, STL, and overwrite your previous STL. Delete the one you've just imported and go back to File, Import, STL. Check that the size is smaller than before. It was decimated, remember. Import it again, do a local view again, add the decimate modifier again. I want something around 1 million faces, a bit more, but not less, because I don't want to harm the geometry too badly. And enter. So now my face count is slightly below 2 million faces. File, Export, STL, overwrite, delete this model, and go to File, Import, STL. Here I can check that the size is lower than 100 megabytes. That's a lot better for 3D printing. You can print heavier files, but the common practice is to avoid too heavy files. Just a common practice. Here I'm not going to import it again. It's not necessary anymore. The remesh and decimating process is completed. Cancel. Now, can I stay in Blender? Nope. I need an STL doctor. I'm using NETFABB. It's a very famous software. Project, open. Here is my STL. Load it. Despite the remeshing, I have a warning, and that's great for teaching. So let's go to the doctor, and here we're going to apply a default automatic repair. Execute it, apply the repair, remove the old part. Here we are, the STL is repaired. So we need to export the STL and overwrite the old STL because the old one was broken. Now here we can see the volume, 7.31 cubical centimeters. This means that this pendant at that size will weigh 70 grams in silver. So obviously the jewel can't be too heavy either, because the client wants to wear the jewel, and the weight and the price of the jewel is not the main question. But this client needs an amazing jewel. So who is going to be proud to have this jewel in their collection? The client. So now I need the slicer. So almost every 3D printer has its own software. I'm using HALOTBOX. because I have a Creality printer. So that's the software for my printer. So here I'm going to import the STL that I want to print. So the pendant, and we can see that it fits the bed of the printer. That's important. If it wouldn't fit, I would have to rotate it maybe or scale it down, but I would miss the target size requested by the client. Now here, many slicers can repair STL files, but generally I do that in another software like I explained earlier. And yes, I'm going to slightly rotate the model. I don't want too much rotation because the rotation is going to make the printing time a lot longer. And well, it's not necessary. The supports are going to go to the back of the pendant, and that's great because any harm to the model won't matter that much on the back. I'm going to print a prototype in gray resin. It's a lot cheaper and better for a preview instead of using jewelry casting resin. So now I'm going to go to support, and I'm going to use the default settings and create the auto supports. So I just want to check that the tips in general, they have a support. Here I'm going to add one by example. So it's always important to review the model, to review the supports. Sometimes you need to remove supports, sometimes you need to add supports, especially on the small parts. It's nice to have supports at the intersections. Okay, so from the outside, it seems we have many supports, and a common mistake is to think that these are too many supports. Good, the supports are ready. Now we can slice, let the software do its job. Here, let's review your layers. It's always quite pretty, so this is always good for the moral and for the designer. And that's what's going to go to the file and save. The software is saving the file, copy it to a USB, and the format of that file is proprietary to the printer. That's the file that I will feed to the printer, and the printer will print each layer thanks to light. This should take a couple of hours, and I will show the results in the upcoming weeks. We are in the middle of the holiday season. New Year is tomorrow. Have a good one. Take care and see you soon.